So the first thing first is to open your new sketch, then you create. So now when you have this interface, all you need to do now is to bring in the croquis which you want to use. So now I'm going to be importing my image. So it takes you directly to your gallery. So all you need to do now for the first approach is for you to go to the croquis which you want to make use of. So now, based on the croquis which I have downloaded, I get my croquis out of it. So yeah, let me work with this croquis. So all I need to do is to use my transform tool. So now I'm trying to still zoom in more so that my image can actually fit into my paper size, but now it is not going anymore. It's no longer going through. So what I'm just going to do is to erase the image background. So you can increase the size of the eraser to your choice. Okay, so now you can still see that my image is still not fit into my paper size. So all I just need to do is to move on back to my transform tool, then zoom it to the best fit of the image to the paper size, then you check. So once you have this, now this is your image. So all I just need to do now is to reduce on the last layer which you're supposed to work with. You reduce the opacity, then choose your actual pencil size, putting your color on black or whatsoever color you want to work with the tracing. Then you begin to start tracing out. Now don't forget, you need to pay attention to the layer you're working with. Make sure that your blue icon is on the new layer, so that is when you now start tracing out. Now the second approach, which I'm not going to be using this due to copyright, so the second approach is what I'm going to be working with, making use of my own sketch which I have done manually. So what I'm going to do now is to go back to my gallery. So this is my sketch which I'm going to be working with. So now for you to achieve your sketch, all you just need to do is to go back to your camera, for you to snap your manual sketch. So you have to make sure that when you are snapping, your camera is straight down to the image, not snapping sideways, neither diagonal or whatsoever. So you have to make sure that your image, your camera is facing down to your sketch, then you snap. So when you have this, the next thing for you to do, still the same process, is to go to the chart. So let me delete this and explain better. Then you import that image which you have snapped straight down. So now don't forget, before you check, you need to zoom properly to fit it to your paper size. Once you are clear with this, then you check. So the next thing for me to do is to bring up this layer. How do you do that? You long press, then you drag it above the previous layer. So now on the previous layer, I'm just going to reduce the opacity to make it fade out. Then I begin to sketch. So now pick a best sketching tool that you can work with in tracing out. So what I'm using now is the basic pencil tool. So now I begin to sketch out. don't forget, on another layer now you sketch out. So I begin to trace out. So with this, it makes your work look unique, and the croquis will be yours. So you don't have a situation whereby the croquis is going to be from someone else, or will look alike with someone else's work. So you have to trace out just as the same way you want the outcome of the sketch to be. So don't be scared to make your strokes. Don't forget, you can undo and redo, so don't be worried about making mistake. So you have to make sure that you are tracing right, so that you can achieve the best results of your sketch. So now a situation whereby you make mistakes as such, all you just need to do is to go back to your erasing tool, reduce the size to a preferable working size, then you erase the part you don't need. So you can see it becomes one line blended properly. Then you continue. So same as this, I'll just remove the part I don't need. Then it becomes a single stroke. So when you make your mistake, you can undo, then retrace. Okay, so now once I'm done with this, all I just need to do is to turn off the view of my traced out layer to confirm if I've actually done tracing out properly, or if I'm still missing out some things. So now I think I'm satisfied with what I've traced out. So the next thing for me to do now is to create a new layer where I'm going to be selecting colors to be painted for my croquis. So what I need to do now is to move on to my color wheel to look for different skin tones that I can work with. So now, another thing you can do to avoid the stress of maybe not getting the skin tones, you can actually look for an image which you've downloaded from the internet of different skin tones that you can work with. So all you just need to do is go to your images, look for the skin tones which you've downloaded that you can make use of. Okay, so let me pick this. So now this is a skin tone. These are several skin tones that I can work with. I check. So now the next thing for me to do now is to use my eyedropper to go and select the best skin tone that I can start working with. So let me look for a light tone first. Okay, so now that I've selected the light tone which I want to work with, so the next thing for me to do now is to go to my soft airbrush or whatsoever painting tool you desire to work best for you. So now then I begin to paint. So let me increase it to the best size I can work with. Now don't forget, you have to create a new layer for that. Then I begin to paint. So now you need not to worry about it not coming out. And whenever you are doing your painting, you need to understand that there mustn't be any form of white in your paintings. Now this is the first layer of my painting, which is the light tone. And I can decide also to use it as my middle tone. So now it's looking blurry, like what am I doing actually? So I'm trying to make sure that everything becomes one tone. I don't have any white, neither do I have a part darker than the other. Okay, so I think I'm kind of satisfied with this. So the next thing for me to do now is just to reduce the opacity so I can see what is beneath that layer. So now I'm just going to be working with my erasing tool to begin to erase out the unnecessary parts of the coloring I don't need. So now you need not to worry about you not erasing the traced out, and that is because they are on different layers. The layers of the tracing out is here. This is the layer of the tracing out, and this is also the layer for the color. So what we'll be erasing now is just the layer of the color. So I begin to erase, making sure that it is well clean enough. I am not erasing into the line. you can see I'm just erasing exactly at the line. And at the same time, so if you decide to just erase at the edge of the line, or if you decide to erase totally like this, so just make sure that whatsoever you are erasing is clean enough that if you are going to be cleaning into the line, you clean into the line, and if you are going to be cleaning out the line, you clean out the line. Just make sure that whatsoever work you are doing, it's more pleasing. So for small parts like this, all I just need to do is to reduce the working size of my tool, then erase. So please, when you are working, you need to zoom in your work properly. It is best you zoom in your work so you can see the details more rather than when it is zoomed out. So don't forget, when you make errors, you make mistake, you can just undo. So for the little parts, reduce the size of your tool. Okay, since I'm done with the outlining now, all I just need to do now is to increase my erasing tool, the size of the erasing tool, then it can make my erasing easier and faster. So I'm not erasing it totally because I still have to sketch the hand over there, so that's why I'm leaving that. Okay, so now that I'm done with this, I can as well just bring back the opacity. So let me still leave it a bit transparent. Okay, so now the next thing for me to do is to begin to highlighting the head. Now, to introduce the head, it's a digital sketch, so it's live made easy. So what you can as well do, so you can actually just sketch the head, importing it exactly with the whole croquis. But for instance, you don't have a head, so now I'm going to be using the second trick to getting the head placement on this croquis. So now I have a head which I have downloaded, so all I just need to do is to go to my gallery, right, and bring it straight down to the image. So let me look for the perfect head which I can make use of. Okay, so let me just work with what I have here. Okay, so with this head, now that I've imported the head, all I just need to do is to transform this into a perfect position for what I want to work with. So since I have this here, all I just need to do is to check, then reduce the opacity so I can see what is beneath. Then I go back to my transforming tool to set it in place. Okay, so once you realize that your head size is complementing the whole body, then you can check. So I guess what I'm going to be doing here now, I have to increase the neck in order for the head to complement the whole body. So what I'm just going to strictly do is to go back to the layer of my sketch, go back to the tool which I used in tracing out, which is my basic pencil. Then on that same layer, I just connect the neck size, my color black, okay, so I think this should work. Yeah, so I think this should complement now. So let me confirm. Okay, yeah, so I think this works. So now I go back to my layer, go back to my library. So this is the color of the skin tone, so it's in your color history, so it's easier for you to just go there, select it, or you work with your eyedropper to draw the color. So I'm just going to be painting, so don't forget the painting layer, that is what you're going to be working on. Then I paint. So you don't forget, it must blend with what you already have. And don't be scared of it bouncing out, because you can just work with your erasing tool. Okay, so yeah, I have the image complementing now. So let me turn on my head size. Yes, so okay, I'm a bit short of something here. So what I'm just going to do is to go back and fill it up. Yeah, so I'm done with this. Don't forget, still on that particular layer. Okay, so now that I'm done with this, now the head, I need to start tracing it out. So the tracing out for the head, now I'm going to be doing it on still the same tracing out of my croquis itself. So now I change back to my pencil, then the color changed, then I begin to trace out my croquis head, sorry. Okay, so lastly, I'm going to be tracing out the hair. Then for the other side, Okay, so now I can turn this off to check what I have traced out. So what I'm just going to do now is to erase the previous head that I have. So now it's not easy for me to just erase it once. That's because I went to trace out the head on that same layer. So it's actually no big challenge. It's just for me to patiently erase it off. Okay, so here I have my croquis, which I guess I'm satisfied. So all I just need to do, I don't need this anymore. Take it off my layer. I also don't need my sketch 2 anymore. Take it off my layer. So now I have this, and I also have my first skin tone. So all I just need to do now is just to erase all I don't need. Okay, so now let me quickly paint this. Go back to my soft airbrush and the traditional tool. So I'm painting it on that layer. Okay, and so now I have my sketch all well done. Alright, so in the next module you're going to be seeing how we can work with the middle tone, the dark tone, the light reflection. So we have different shadings of the body figure, and the whole thing pops up like a 3D kind of image, so it's not going to be flat like this. Alright, so see you in the next module. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe.